Good afternoon. The term peer pressure often carries negative connotations of teens engaging in behaviors they otherwise might not, or families going into debt to keep up with their more affluent neighbors. But in her book, Join the Club: How Peer Pressure Can Transform the World, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Tina Rosenberg argues there are powerful, sometimes overlooked benefits of peer pressure. That if peer pressure can be an enticement for delinquent behavior, it can also be an enticement for positive behavior. The fearless Tina Rosenberg has spent her career tackling some of the world's most difficult problems. Her powerful 1995 book, The Haunted Land, won both the National Book Award and Pulitzer Prize for examining Europe after the fall of the Iron Curtain. She was also the first freelance journalist to receive a MacArthur Fellowship Award. Imagine junior high kids out behind the gymnasium or in the locker room or bathroom, and instead of smoking, they're talking about how they can stay focused and get good grades in school. Or imagine a discussion around a village well that centers on taking one's medications faithfully to overcome disease. These are the types of clubs she talks about, and I suspect that after hearing her, you will also want to join the club. Tina Rosenberg.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Google, for having me here today, and to you all for coming to this talk. How many of you have children? Anybody? This is a younger crowd that I'm used to talking to. Well, even if you don't have kids, you probably know all about peer pressure. It's something to worry about, right? We all know that if our kids have problems, if they get drawn into drugs, have a brush or two with the law, if they're acting out, even if they just go to the wrong parties, that's due to peer pressure. But what if our kids do fine? What if they're studying hard and acting respectfully and spending their spare time volunteering? The credit goes to your children, right? And to you for excellence in parenting. That can't be the result of peer pressure, can it? My book is about something we've been familiar with all our lives, but I hope it will provoke you to take a new look. We all know how mighty peer pressure is, and we're accustomed to being afraid of it. But I argue that peer pressure can also be a powerful force for good. In the book, I tell stories of people in the United States and abroad who are using peer pressure to solve problems that could not be successfully attacked by other means. The case we all know is Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's a good example of what I'm talking about. You help people to change their behavior by giving them a new peer group, one that supports them and holds them accountable, one that they identify with. The thesis of my book is that people are unlikely to change their behavior because they receive new information or because you've told them something that scares them to death. The most effective way to persuade someone to change is through identification. Provide them with people just like them who have already made this change. I think we can all imagine at a gut level how effective this can be for solving issues of personal resistance to temptation. But the uses of peer pressure are far broader. And because of its effectiveness and scope, this Join the Club strategy, which I also call the social cure, opens up exciting new possibilities for solving social problems that we have come to think of as unsolvable. Let me give you a few examples. In the late 1990s, teen cigarette smoking was astronomically high in the United States. In 1997, 36.5% of all high school seniors smoked. This was really important because young people are practically the only people who start smoking. If you don't start by the time you're 24, you're probably not going to start. And no one knew what to do about it. We had tried stressing to kids how dangerous cigarettes are, bombarding them with information. We had tried appealing to fear, putting up rows of gravestones on the billboards, telling them smoking kills, and none of it was working. There was a headline in the Washington Post in 1998 that said, "Officials seek a path to cut into haze of youth smoking. The bottom line, no one knows what works." Then the state of Florida found something that worked spectacularly well. It hired an advertising agency by the name of Crispin, Porter & Boguski. This agency had no experience at all with public health, but it did know how to sell to teenagers. Its staff sat down and looked at the problem not from a public health perspective, but from the perspective of an ad man. Why do teens start smoking? A cigarette, after all, is a repulsive product. No one would buy a cigarette for itself. Once you start, you continue to smoke because you're hooked. But why do teens start in the first place? The answer is that for teens, a cigarette is not a delivery system for nicotine. It's a delivery system for rebellion. It's a way for teens to tell adults, I'm autonomous, you don't tell me what to do. It's a way for teens to look cool to their peers and feel cool to themselves. That's why the usual strategies don't work. Teens already know that cigarettes can kill them. In fact, teenagers overestimate the dangers of smoking. They think cigarettes are even worse than they are. Clearly, that's part of their appeal for teenagers. So Crispin Porter's people thought, what if we make not smoking a way to rebel, with the tobacco companies as the target? They designed a series of TV spots, most of them written by teenagers themselves, that showed kids rebelling against these corporate manipulators. They filmed teenagers making prank phone calls, for example, to the advertising agencies that worked on tobacco accounts. They filmed a road trip, a group of kids who drove from Florida up to Richmond, Virginia, which is the headquarters of Philip Morris. And when they got to Philip Morris, they stopped at the gate and they asked the guard if they could see the Marlboro Man. And the guard, who was clueless, told them, oh, I'm sorry, you can't see him. He's just died. And in fact, the actor who played the Marlboro Man in Philip Morris's TV commercials had just died of lung cancer. And they got this all on film. Accompanying the media spots were clubs that kids could join, clubs whose focus was rebelling against the tobacco industry. These clubs staged pranks and actions. After Florida, the strategy went national, and I followed one group of kids in South Carolina who were doing the same thing. This group was called Rage Against the Haze, which gives you some idea of the tenor of it. And they stage events at high school football games and do things like take over the smoking section at Shoney's restaurants. They never attack smokers. They never say you shouldn't smoke. Or worst of all, they never say that cigarette smoking is only for grown-ups. They just point out to teens how the cigarette manufacturers are manipulating them. This worked. It was the first time in history that anything had worked. Over the next 2 years, Florida saw the single biggest drop in teen smoking that the United States had ever seen. The strategy went nationwide 2 years later, and until 2007, teen smoking nationwide continued to drop. Florida's teen smoking rate was cut in half in a decade, and many other states did just as well.